Hi everybody. Okay, today's practical lesson is chicken fricassee. This is a classic French dish. It can be adapted with different types of vegetables depending on what you've got in your fridge. It can be served with some nice crusty bread. It could be served with some potatoes or rice. It could even be used as a filling for a pie. So there's lots of different variations you can do with this recipe. The recipe is on page 9 of your school recipe book. And the ingredients that you will need are a pepper. So I've used an orange pepper here, so it could be a red, green, yellow pepper. Okay, you'll need one of those. You will need 1 onion. You will need 25 grams of mushrooms. You will need 1 chicken joint or some chicken. So what I've done is I've used some leftover chicken that I had left over from a meal yesterday. So this is a really good recipe to be able to use up any leftover chicken. So this is chicken that's already cooked. If you're using raw chicken, please remember your hygiene rules when handling raw meat. Okay, use separate chopping boards and separate knives when preparing raw meat. Think about the cross-contamination rules that you've all learnt about. Remember, cross-contamination means bacteria is being transferred from one item to another. So it could be that bacteria is being transferred from chopping boards onto cooked food, raw food onto cooked food, from not washing your hands properly. So remember all of those hygiene and safety rules that you all know about. You will also need 25 grams of margarine or butter, and then you'll be making a sauce. So for the sauce you will need 2 tablespoons of flour. You will need 250 millilitres of milk. Now remember, when measuring out milk, you place it on a flat surface, you let the milk settle, and then you look at the measurement at eye level. You will then also need another 25 grams of butter or margarine. You will need some seasoning, so some salt and pepper, just a little bit of seasoning. You will need a chicken stock. Now I'm using one of these sort of jelly chicken stocks. You can use the dried ones, which is absolutely fine. And you will need some parsley to add to the sauce and for garnish. So I've got some fresh parsley here that I've just picked out of my garden. I'm also going to add, because I've got this growing in my garden too, I'm also going to add some fresh thyme. Okay, so you will need both of those herbs, or at least one of those herbs. All right. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing then that you need to do is dice up your cooked chicken. Dice up your cooked chicken. Okay, so I've already done that, and I've used a white chopping board here because that's what you would use on cooked meat. If you haven't got these coloured chopping boards, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that you are following your hygiene rules and cleaning in between any raw and cooked food that you are using. So that's already diced up. Okay, you can then start to prepare the rest of your vegetables. So I'm just going to put that to one side, and I'm going to slice up my mushrooms. Now remember, when using a sharp knife, you always hold it by the handle. You point it down by your side when you're walking around with it. You never put a sharp knife in a bowl of hot soapy water, because somebody could easily put their hands in the water, not knowing the knife is there, and pick it up by the blade. When you come to wash it up, you have the blunt edge towards you. With your cloth, you just have one stroke of the knife to wash it up, and then the same when you're drying it, and you put it safely away wherever you store your knives at home. Okay. Remember, when cutting up foods, try and use the bridge and claw method. So hand like a bridge if you're cutting things in half, knife under the bridge, and cut the food in half to keep your fingers well away from the blade. And then if you're slicing food, hand like a claw, thumb behind your fingers, you're holding the item nice and secure, and then you can slice up whatever it is you're slicing. I'm going to slice these mushrooms up. I've already washed these as well. I've given these a wash. When you've prepared any ingredient, place it onto a separate plate so you've got space on your chopping board to prepare the rest of your ingredients. Okay, so there's my mushrooms done. And then with the pepper, hand like a bridge, knife under the bridge, I'm going to slice that in half. I'm going to remove these seeds. I'm going to use a V-cut where those seeds are, and then I can just pull those away. Remember to adopt the rule clean as you go, so any vegetable waste, any rubbish goes straight into the bin. Okay, and once you have removed those seeds, you can then chop that up into medium-sized chunks. Okay, I want a little bit of texture on this as well. If there's a few stray herbs still left in the pepper, just scrape those out. Okay, and then chop those peppers up, like so. Okay, put that onto my plate. Alright, and then with your onion, same thing, holding your onion with the bridge, knife under the bridge, cut your onion in half, remove the skin, making sure, like I say, any rubbish goes into the bin. Alright, I'm going to leave the root on and just remove that part like so, because all of the most of the juice of an onion is concentrated in this root area here. Okay, it's meant to stop you from crying, but I'm not so sure. Alright, but it's always worth a go. And then holding the onion with your claw hand, I'm going to slice towards the root. I've not gone all the way through, as you can see, so it's still intact. Turn my knife around, holding the onion again like a claw, slice through the onion 2 or 3 times, turn my knife again, holding it tightly this time. The onion will start to fall apart into hopefully relatively evenly sized pieces. Okay. Alright, I've used a red onion. It's totally up to you. You can just use the normal white onion if you want to. I just wanted to give this dish a little bit more colour. Okay. Alright, so that's our ingredients prepared in terms of the vegetables. So we can now start to get cooking. Now you want a large saucepan, or you could use a frying pan, but a large saucepan, I'm using one of these. Remember, when using the hob, always make sure any handles are turned in, okay, not turned out where somebody could easily walk by this and knock it off. Always make sure the handles are turned in. Make sure you've got your hair tied back, any loose items of clothing are out of the way. Don't forget, before cooking, you have washed your hands for at least 20 seconds. You've got an adult present with you as supervision, and you are prepared with your white surfaces wiped, all of your equipment out ready, and all of your ingredients ready too. Okay. Alright, so onto the hob. Let's just move this a little bit closer so you can see. I'm going to melt the margarine. So just on a medium heat. I'm going to melt the margarine or butter, it's up to you. And then once that's melted, you can add your onions, your mushrooms and your peppers. Okay, and you want to add these all together, and you want to cook these for a couple of minutes until they've gone soft. So probably about 3 minutes, just until they've gone soft. You don't want to burn any of these ingredients. Okay, that's been cooking then for about 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, it's just started to soften and it smells absolutely delicious. Okay, you're going to put those ingredients now just onto a plate, and then we're going to use the same pan to make the sauce. Okay. Alright, in this saucepan then, you're now going to make the white sauce. We'll put that to one side for 1 minute. So in the same saucepan, we've got lots of flavour in here. Okay, all these brown pieces on the side here, we want all that to add to the flavour of the sauce. So in here, you're going to make the sauce. So you're going to add all the ingredients for the sauce. So that's 250 millilitres of milk goes in. You're going to add 2 tablespoons or 250 ml spoons of flour, so plain flour. You're going to add another 25 grams of the margarine. And you're going to whisk that on a medium flame, medium heat, until you've got a nice thick consistency of a sauce. So you want to be using something like this, a hand whisk, and it's really important that you continuously stir this, otherwise you will get a lumpy sauce. So we've got some food science going on here, okay? You should remember the term gelatinisation. So as the ingredients are started to heat up, all the starch grains in the flour will start to swell. So as it gets to 60 degrees, the starch grains in the flour start to absorb some of the liquid. As that continues to heat up to 80 degrees, the starch grains are so full and absorb so much water, or milk in this case, that they start to burst. At 100 degrees, the sauce starts to thicken. And that process is called gelatinisation. And if you don't stir the sauce, don't continuously stir it, the starch grains will just sink to the bottom and you'll get a lumpy sauce. Now the method that we are using here is called the all-in-one method. So I've added all of the ingredients into the pan and continuously stir. So this will take about 2 or 3 minutes to get thick. Okay, it starts to thicken up. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes and already it's starting to thicken up. And you'll know if it's at the right consistency for it to coat the back of your wooden spoon. Okay, there we go. Nice, smooth, consistent sauce that's coating the back of that spoon. I'm just going to let that simmer for a minute, because what I want to do now is cook out the starch. If we don't do that, you get a powdery sort of flavour in your sauce. Okay. Alright, so after about a minute you can then add in your stock cube. You can crumble in your stock cube. I'm using one of these sort of jelly type cubes, so you can add that in. That's going to add some flavour into your sauce. And again, keep stirring so that melts and combines. Now this product, this chicken fricassee, is full of nutrients. Alright, you've got protein in your chicken. You've got vitamin C and vitamin B6 in the onions. Remember, they're your water-soluble vitamins. Vitamin C is needed for the maintenance of your hair and your skin. Vitamin B is needed for the formation of red blood cells. These vitamins are also high in antioxidants, and that links to reduction of the risk of cancer. You've got mushrooms in here, which are high in vitamin D. You've got your peppers in here, and your peppers contain 169% of your daily intake of vitamin C. So that's making it one of the most richest dietary sources of vitamin C. So really, really healthy. You've got vitamin E in your pepper as well, which again is another powerful antioxidant that's going to protect your body's cells against damage from free radicals, again, which may play a role in the development of cancer or heart disease. So lots and lots of nutrients in here. Okay, that chicken stock is now melted. We can turn that off the heat. We've got a really nice, consistent, smooth sauce. Smells delicious, and I know it's going to be tasty. Okay, you can now add the vegetables back into the pan. So they're my cooked vegetables that we did earlier. They can go into the sauce. Make sure you clean as you go as well as you're cooking, so adopt the rule, clean as you go. You can add in your cooked chicken that you diced earlier. Add that in. And give that a good mix, making sure you're coating the vegetables and the chicken with the sauce that you've just made. Okay. And then you can add in your herbs. Now, fresh herbs are always added at the end of a cooking process. Okay, if you're using dried herbs, you can add those whilst the product is cooking. With fresh herbs, you add them at the end. Okay, so I'm just going to chop up my parsley. I've given it a wash first. I'm going to bunch it all together, holding it with the claw, and then chopping that up. I'm going to leave some to sprinkle on the top, so that goes in. My thyme that I've got here, some lovely fresh thyme. Just going to get all those small little leaves off the stalk. Okay, put some more in. So here we go. Alright, so those all go in. Combine all that all together, and there you have it, delicious chicken fricassee. Now what I think I might serve this with, I might make some dauphinoise potatoes to go with this. If you fancy having a go at making dauphinoise potatoes, the recipe for that is on page 41 of your school recipe book. Alright, so let's serve this up. Okay, that looks delicious and it smells tasty. Add a few more fresh herbs on the top. Perfect. So I'm looking forward to seeing lots of your recipes and lots of the dishes that you've cooked with some tasters comments. I'm in trouble with the camera today. Okay, so make sure you send me a photograph of what you've made and make sure you get some tasters comments. Okay, bye.